So today we are talking about the last of the collective data types in Python. This collection is called dictionaries. We have already covered lists, tuples, and sets. They all represent collections of items. Dictionaries are different because they represent a collection of items, but as pairs of values. The first of the pair is called a key, and the second of the pair is called a value. So they're always a pair. Now, dictionaries, we will come to their usage much later, but there are very, very efficient data structures because the keys can be managed in a very efficient manner by the computers. Now, what are the major properties of dictionaries? These collections are ordered in a very special way. I'll talk about it. They are also changeable, and they do not allow duplicates. Now, when we talk about duplicates, we're talking about the key cannot be duplicated. The value can be duplicated. Of course, it can as many times as you want. Now, when we talk about ordered, that means that जब आप डिक्शनरी क्रिएट करते हैं तो जो उसकी तरतीब होती है वो तरतीब कायम रहती है. लिस्ट और टपल्स के बरक्स इसको समझ लें कि इसके अंदर हम इंडेक्सिंग नहीं करते, पर इंडेक्सिंग भी हम की पे करते हैं. सो यू कैन नॉट से डिक्शनरी आइटम ऑफ एट प्लेस 0 और डिक्शनरी आइटम एट प्लेस 1, बट यू कैन से डिक्शनरी आइटम हैविंग द की XYZ or whatever the key is. The keys must be unique. As I mentioned earlier, the values can be repeated as many times as you want. Dictionaries are completely changeable. You can change the value for a key. You can add items to a dictionary. You can remove items from a dictionary. And values, jo hai, wo to obviously they are dynamic. The key stays static and the values change. So dictionaries are interesting data types because they represent this pair of values, a key and a value. Remember that. That's a crucial concept. Now, let's talk in terms of how do we create a dictionary. When we spoke about sets, I did mention that, we use the curly brackets or braces for representing a set. We do the same thing for a dictionary. A dictionary is put in curly braces, in curly brackets. The difference is that the curly brackets then will contain key and value pairs. Okay, and a list of those that creates a dictionary. But there are several other methods. There's also the dict constructor, like we have a list constructor. We also have the DICT constructor. And for a DICT constructor, we can create, a dictionary using that. We can create it using lists and tuples, etc. They can be given as arguments. So let's take a look at some of the construction methods for a dictionary. Okay, so what I've done is I've written a few lines of a program, and we will step through it using our debugger. Nothing really to debug, but let's take a look at how it works. And so I'm going to create our first dictionary. As I mentioned earlier, this is created using curly brackets. So within curly brackets, there are always pairs of values. The first of the pair is called a key, and the second of the pair is called a value. And then they are comma-separated pairs within those curly brackets. So what we are seeing over here is our first dictionary called first dict. That's the variable name, or that will be the name of the dictionary. And within that, the first pair is play, value. So play, Hamlet. So I'm taking Shakespeare's plays and continuing with that, comma. The next set of values in the dictionary is author, which is the key, Shakespeare, which is the value for the key author. The next one is year, which is the key, and then and then the value, which is 1600, which is approximately when the play was written. And soliloquy, we used that in the sets example earlier, but now I've shortened it just for convenience. So I said soliloquy is the key, and the value for this key is to be or not to be, which is a string. And we can just step through this. So let's say we create a first dict and then we print it, and it prints like this. Okay, so we're not really interested in the debugging window, but it prints like this. It says first dict equal to, then curly brackets, play is the key, the value is Hamlet, comma, author is the key, Shakespeare is the value, comma, year is the key, 1600 is the value, and soliloquy is the key, and to be or not to be is the value. Let's move on. So this was directly creating a dictionary using curly brackets. Now we go to the dict constructor. For this, we have the format, which is key1 equal to something, key equals something, key equals something. So again, this is key name and then equal to and then a value. And this will be translated into the dictionary as key value pairs. So let's take a look at this line. It says dict key1 equals 1. Now the name of the key is key1 and the value of the key is 1. Key2 equals u, which is a string, and the key is key2 and the value of key2 is going to be u. Key3 is the key and me is going to be the value of the key. Let's construct it. So the second dictionary, you can now see that it has automatically inserted quotation marks around the key, because key 1 is now a key for the dictionary and 1 is its value. Key 2 is the key for the dictionary, u is the value, and key 3 is a key for the dictionary and me is the value. So we've looked at two ways of creating a dictionary. One is directly with curly brackets and the second one is using the dict constructor with key equal to value lists of values separated by commas. And now the third one is if we just say third dict equals just curly brackets. This will create an empty dictionary and it prints as an empty dictionary, which is just a pair of braces. I mentioned earlier that when we're working with sets, although sets also use curly brackets, we cannot create an empty set using curly brackets, and this is the reason why. Just using some variable name equal to empty curly brackets will create a dictionary, not a set. Okay. And the fourth one is just using dict as the constructor, which without any arguments, and this again will create an empty dictionary. So we again do that, we get this empty dictionary created using dict. Fourth dict is equal to just a pair of braces. And Python being the consistent language that it is, the length function works for dictionaries. Len dictionary will give you the number of items in the dictionary. The type function works, it gives you the class of the dictionary. So let's take a look what happens. And we step in and we say type of first dictionary is class dict and the length of first dictionary is 4, which is the number of key and value pairs in the dictionary. So a quick recap. Dictionaries are collections of key, comma, value pairs. The keys must be unique. We can create a dictionary in one of multiple ways. The easiest way is just within curly brackets have a key colon value separated by commas, a list of these values. Second way would be to use the dict constructor with key equal to value as the argument. And that again can be multiple values in there. Empty dictionaries can be created simply by saying variable name equal to a pair of curly brackets, or we can just use variable name equal to dict with empty brackets, and that also creates an empty dictionary.